Hey, what's up, losers? I hope that your stock portfolios are going to the moon. We've got patch 10.18 notes. 10.17 notes, you might be thinking crop missed it. Where was the 10.17 notes? We went straight from 10.16 with Yone into 10.18. Where was the 10.17 notes? It was basically just a hot fix, so I didn't make a video, but just know that I didn't miss any major patches this year. Okay, I saw the 10.17 notes, but I thought to myself, well, those really are not very impactful. Basically, they just cut down Yone a little bit, Yone a little bit after his release, and they should probably still nerf him a little bit more, but they decided not to in this patch. So things are looking pretty okay. I think that they're addressing some problems that need to be addressed, particularly with Sett, and Twitch buffs seem pretty good, especially for second item, second item Rageblade, and the rest of these guys. What? I think the Misfortune buff must be really small. The RE changes are like really quality of life, and then there's a bug fix or clarity fix to Tryndamere where when he ults, when his ult is about to expire, he'll flash, like flash white really quick, so playing against him will be less frustrating. There are quite a few characters in the game, like nobody's coming to mind right this second, but there are quite a few characters in the game that are, they would be significantly less annoying and significantly less strong if people could consistently understand what was happening to them instead of just getting the shit kicked out of them. So, yeah, we're checking these out. The Ari changes, I think that these are pretty good. So remember how Ari's Q used to be like a cleave that healed her? So they moved that to her passive, which I think is fine. This 20% move speed bonus, I actually didn't even know that this existed. So I guess it probably wasn't that important. So up to a maximum of 3 per cast, storing up to 9, blah blah blah. Then it consumes for a big ol' heal. And then the W targeting, you get 40% movement speed decaying over 1.5 seconds after the cast of W, so that makes it a better ability. And you can use it as an escape now too, like kind of like Annie Molten Shield. Excuse me. Now deals 200% damage to minions below 20% health, so it's easier for last hitting. They made the targeting better as well. Increase the mana by 15, but I say this all the time, mana doesn't really exist in League of Legends, especially for mid laners, because if you are somebody that builds Ludens or Seraphs, you effectively have infinite mana after your first back, so it's not really that important. Cooldown is 1 second longer at all ranks. I think that this is going to make her quite a bit better. They nerfed her base health regen because I think that this means that you're going to be getting the Essence Thief passive more often, but not sure. Anyway, Ari seems like she got a little buff. These W changes seem beneficial all around. The character's pretty strong. They probably they might wait until the end of the year to do this because they want to change itemization. There's a pretty big problem with all of the AD mid laners just effectively being the best mid laners in the game, right? Like Zed, Yone, Yasuo, Talon. I think that you should have some kind of a punish for AD mid laners, right? Like if they pick an AD mid, the punishment, I guess, is that their top laner or jungler don't go AP and then they're full AD, and you get to build against them. But I don't think that every single AD mid laner should be the best in the entire game, right? I think that that's a reasonable thing to say. And like they're not even all assassins, right? Like Zed and Yone are both assassins. I wouldn't consider Yasuo an assassin. He's more like a bruiser. Talon's an assassin, but yeah, the rest of these guys, even Pantheon, like, why is every character that can build lethality items just fucking crazy? Maybe we should take a look at that. Because it's not like top laners with lethality items are ridiculous. Oh, also Kiana. Kiana is like, I don't even think that good of a character. She just wins all the time. Um, yeah, they should probably look at this. I think it has to do with itemization. Another thing that you could do that would make this a lot more fair is that you cut down every one of these guys' magic resistance, and that way you actually have a chance of like poking them out in lane. If you play really well, like you have to play substantially better than your lane opponent to really punish them for picking an AD mid laner, because most of the time they have faster wave clear than you, and they don't have to use their abilities to wave clear. Not that it really matters, because Zed, Yone, Yasuo are all manaless champions, right? Is Yone manaless? I think that this guy doesn't have mana. Does he build up like a grit shield? I forget. Yeah, all of his spells are no cost, so. And it's not like Talon costs anything to use his abilities. Is Talon's E free? I want to say this is free. Yeah. It costs nothing. Of course it costs nothing. Whatever. Hopefully they'll address that. It doesn't really make sense that every AD mid laner is like S tier. Some nerfs to Ashe. Ashe is really good. I think that they did a little stealth nerf to Caitlyn in 10.17. Didn't really do much though. That's another problem. If you haven't seen this, you're gonna laugh. It's actually ridiculous. Did you know that Caitlyn has 0 losing matchups in bot lane? Did you know that there's not a single character that beats Caitlyn in the bot lane statistically? So against Ezreal she wins. Against Ashe she wins. Against Jhin she wins. She wins hard against Lucian. Wins hard against Kai'Sa. Wins hard against Jinx. Wins hard against Vayne, which this makes sense. Does it make sense that she should beat Lucian as hard as she beats Vayne? No. No, that doesn't make sense. Beats MF. Okay, Senna is maybe her only losing matchup, okay? But even then, it's by 0.3%. Well, 0.5%, right? Because that's how numbers work. So maybe she loses to Senna. Maybe. Statistically unsubstantial, though. Beats Aphelios hard, beats Tristana hard, beats Sivir hard, beats Yasuo hard, destroys Kalista, destroys Xayah, destroys Varus, destroys Kog, destroys Draven. Who beats her? Who wins against Caitlyn? You pick Sona as the carry. You pick Sona as your carry, and that way you can win, okay? Oh, I don't think we clicked on Twitch. Yeah. She effectively beats every single AD carry in the game. How is that fair? Isn't the point of Caitlyn is that she's a long-range lane bully, right? But how is it fair that a long-range lane bully can beat another person that you would effectively call a lane bully, right? Like Lucian or Draven? Lucian and Draven both get fucking shit on by Caitlyn. How does that make any sense? Higher KDA, higher kill participation, higher damage, higher win ratio, everything. Like, why would you ever pick these characters instead of just the objectively the best one? She has no bad matchup. She beats every single character in the game. Like, I can't think of anybody else like this. Like, you'd consider Darius a pretty overpowered top laner too, right? At least he has matchups that he doesn't actually win. Like, we go down, if you want to counterpick with like Maokai or a tank or somebody, he has a bad time. Or range top laners like Quinn. Like, he's still really strong, and there aren't a lot of people that beat him, but you can actually just go a tank into Darius and not die, and that way you can win the game, right? Like, Maokai's really a strong character, but uh, I can't think of any other position in the game that has a character that just has a winning matchup against every single other character in the game. That's pretty ridiculous. So we're nerfing Ashe, sure. Attack damage down by 2. Bug fix and a visual update, so whatever. 2 damage is actually fairly substantial off of base AD because not that this is gonna be like a growth thing, but still it's like she loses 100 gold worth of stats at the beginning of the game. Maybe it's not 100, maybe it's like closer to 50, but still. If this is from level 1, right? You get poked out less hard. Your abilities don't do as much. You're just going to have a better time overall. Maybe you'll have extra 25 health after taking a trade with her or something. Galio, there's some guy on Twitter that cries about Galio. He's like Masters or something. He's a very good player, but he complains about how horrible Galio is, even though this character's pretty fucking strong. Yeah, now they nerf him. That's what you get. J4, we're changing up the damage a little bit on his Q, plus 10, that's fine. J4 is a pretty good character already, but, you get to Q people a little bit. Kale, I don't know how these changes are going to be. These are kind of one of those things where you look at and you wonder how it's really going to go. But if the E is for free and the missile's faster, I think that this is just a pretty decent sized buff, right? And they also agree that this is a buff. Yeah, it seems pretty good. And the heal is now more expensive, but I don't think that's going to balance it out that much. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Most people don't like playing Kayle. She's kind of boring and lame, so she doesn't really have that high of a pick rate. Right? Where is she? Here. At 1.7. Which is still a pretty decently high pick rate. That's higher than, like, I think that most people would consider Alawi a fairly popular pick, or, like, even Kled. But, yeah, I guess that Kale gets picked more than them, so. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Kale is interesting. This is another, like, failed rework. They wanted to make her, like, a super late game scaler, and now she's a lane bully. Wow. Kog'Maw health growth is down by quite a bit, 5. And then armor growth is also down by quite a bit. This seems kind of mean. Is almost always towing and oozing around the line. He's finally crossed it. In response, we're lowering his defenses to highlight his identity as a glass cannon marksman. Well, if you build him AP, he just doesn't die. So maybe change his AP ratios to make it so that he can't buy Seraphs. And then maybe he'll die, instead of doing this. Whatever. Attack speed growth. Is this a revert of the changes? We're reverting some nerfs from earlier this season, 10.10 and 10.3, if you're curious. Yeah, that seemed like a revert. But she still is slower base. They took away 5 movement speed from her, right? I think, something like that. I don't know. I feel like there's another nerf that they did to her. That's fine, though. I've said this a couple times, too, is that they're adding power back to AD carries slowly through base stats instead of itemization. I think they wanted to add it back through itemization, but it just really didn't work out that way, I guess. They can definitely move most of these guys up even more too. Like, obviously balance Caitlyn, but the rest of these characters, I would give, like, Lucian is probably in a weird spot because people are playing him top lane now and being pretty successful even in pro play. So most of the other characters that can't really solo lane, I think, need a bit of help. But yeah, Lucian is a pretty... What's his top lane win rate? Pretty good. He is now 50%, okay. But look at that pick percentage, right? It went way up. Cool. Rumble, we're giving him a little bit more damage. Sett, after I pick up Sett because he's ridiculous, then they're like, maybe we should nerf him 3 patches in a row. The crop started playing him. We gotta listen. When the crop decides that a character is so strong that he has to start playing him, maybe we gotta take him down a peg. So they're changing the passive from 0.15 total AD to 0.5 bonus AD. So this means that he's going to do substantially less damage if he's just a full tank build, which is really good. Because builds... people talked about how Triforce first was like the optimal build. I think that if you just played him top and built Sunfire Cape, you basically had, like, the game was in your hands. He did so much damage. He never died. He was a meatball. It's pretty good. So... this is all fine. This is changes like this where you change it from total AD to bonus AD and you change the ratio so much. It's difficult to understand how that's really going to play out without seeing it in game. So we'll see. And then this is per 100 total AD, and it used to be 5% of bonus targets max health. Okay, so this has worse scaling now. Okay, so it's same flat and then plus a percentage. Oh, it's a flat 1%. Right? That I'm reading that properly. It's a flat 1% of max health instead of 1 to 5. Okay. So Sett should be dealing substantially less damage. And his tank builds are less powerful. Sure. Okay, I see the change now. So it used to be 1% per 100 total AD. So if you build him damage, you should still deal damage. But if you build him tanky, you're going to do less. Especially with low economy tank and utility builds, yeah. They feel the same way as me. But guys, come on, I just picked up the character. I started playing him and I was doing really good. Shen Nerf here, this is fine. I think that they could probably take away some of the damage that he gets, too. Because Shen can kill top laners. Which is kind of unfair. I think that you should just beat the shit out of Shen and he shouldn't be able to kill you. Same as like Maokai can stick to you and still does too much damage. I think that we could all agree that Maokai has been pretty consistently probably the best solo queue top laner. If you want to just win the game, Maokai has been the #1 win rate champion. Can we get a bigger version of the trends here? Will this show me more patches? So since 10.6, so basically since March, this character has been like within the top 10, right? Well, we could say since February he's been within the top 10, but this is a very annoying trend, right? And people don't pick him because he's boring, but if you want to win, you should be picking him. It's the same with Annie as well. Like, Annie is, by win rate, a ridiculously good character, but people don't play her because she's boring. And nobody bans him, even though he's the greatest. And Maokai's win rate throughout the game is ridiculous. He's the best early and early mid. Then mid game, he's second place. and then he falls off a little bit ultra late game, but like you need to take this character down because that doesn't make any sense. And a 53% overall, like, yeah, sure. So I feel like they should make Shen do less damage, but it is what it is. These are mostly just changes to make. They said that it's the same DPS for Shyvana, but it makes her projectiles feel better or something. So we'll have to see how this works in game. And there's something about the projectile size or something too. Dragon form explosion radius increase. Dragon form visuals and cast indicators now accurately represent the ability's hit radius. Dragon form ground zone damage ticks rate increased. So again, we'll have to see how this plays out. It's probably more noticeable for the person playing Shyvana. Little Twitch. Twitch gets better AP scaling. Maximum of 2.0 ability power for E instead of 1.2. So, and it's easier to hit. It's easier to hit the cap, and the cap is higher. So that's pretty cool. Spray and pray. I don't know exactly how this is. Minus 20 from previous hit. Damage capped at 40%. Minus 5% per unit hit. Maximum cap of 70%. So I don't know how this works really, but I'm guessing that it's supposed to smash people pretty hard. Kind of cool. They'll probably have to nerf Twitch after this. Twitch is a really good character, but he is difficult to play. His play style out of lane is very different to that of most AD carries because of positioning, right? Like you want to be basically on the total side of your team instead of in the complete back line. So we'll see how this goes. Xin Zhao, a little bit of power to his damage here. AD scaling going up, whatever. Guardian, very good rune here, and you take it on people who probably shouldn't be going in this green tree. So they fix that up. Some league changes. People, what's his name? Some guy on Twitter, Professor Kayle, that's who it was. Professor Kayle on Twitter complained about how the League of Legends client sucks, and then the Mr. Man of the League of Legends client that writes all the client updates is like, come on, man, come on. It's pretty gross that they don't put the resources into fixing this thing, because it really would not be that hard. It really would not be that hard. They just don't have enough people working on it. So if they had a lot of people working on it, they all work on some little section, like some guy fixes the bootstrap, some guy fixes the loading time, some guy does all this stuff. Like, this is a bad client to begin with, but they could begin to sort things out in a much faster way. It's been like 6 months since the beginning of that client cleanup campaign, which is really pretty sad for the amount of progress that they've made. It seems like all little tiny bug fixes. Not that tiny little bug fixes don't add up over time, but yeah, it's pretty abysmal how much difference there's been in 6 months of their little write-ups saying, we're working so hard. Yeah, in terms of development time, like they definitely have people that are very smart and very talented programmers working at Riot Games, but they are not focused on this client cleanup. And if you want to say that the complexity is too high or something, like you're not dealing with amateurs, you're dealing with people that are very, very skilled programmers. And this kind of a framework, the whole point of it is that it's for like rapid development. So show the power of your rapid prototyping HTML Chromium client by actually fixing things fast instead of complaining, oh, it's so complex. The whole point of switching to Chromium was that it was faster prototyping, right? And you could implement bug fixes and stuff faster. Wasn't that the idea? No? Yeah. It's still really sad. There was a good tweet. I might have already mentioned this. I just kind of brain farted there, but my on my Twitter feed, I had some tweet of a guy that worked on Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, here it is. In Banjo-Kazooie, can we implement multiplayer support? Tim did that to me just 6 days before we finally shipped Banjo-Kazooie to certification, which was about 7 to 8 months after we were supposed to have it done for Nintendo's 1997 Christmas release. Nevertheless, one of the very talented engineers on the team did get Banjo-Kazooie 4-way split screen 3 days later. Okay, so this... Then there's another good one. Unix was written in 3 days? I think it was written in 2 weeks. Yeah. No, not 3 days. I had 3 days on the mine, though. Yeah, this is pretty good. In August 1969, Ken Thompson's wife Bonnie took their year-old son on a trip to California to show off to their families. As a temporary bachelor, Ken had some time to work. I'll allocate a week each to the operating system, the shell, the editor, and the assembler, he told me. And during the month she was gone, I was totally rewritten. It was totally rewritten in a form that looked like an operating system. Ken Thompson rewrote Unix in a month. One guy. This is one guy. He rewrote Unix. He wrote an assembler in a month. Guys, this is pretty sad. Not to say that every computer programmer should be as skilled as Ken Thompson, but let's be honest here. It's been 6 months and it's the exact same. It's not the exact same. Look at the bootstrap time. Look how much faster it is. Where's their chart? Oh my god. Dude, it launches a whole 5 seconds faster for 1% of the player base. It's actually like 10%. 10% of the player base, it launches 10 seconds faster. We did it in 6 months. It's fucking disgusting. Dude, look how much work they put in. This is good that they're doing, like, simplifying and removing a bunch of crap that they don't need. Maybe I should make an additional thing. I have a lot to talk about on this. Facebook rewrites messenger. So Facebook rewrote their client, which was using like what's the framework called? React Native, I think. Essentially, they wrote their program as like, oh, now it's a cross-platform thing. We don't have to, the production time is so much faster because we can implement these features across Android and iOS at the same time. Compared with the previous iOS version, the new Messenger is twice as fast to start up and is 1/4 the size. We reduced core Messenger code by 84% from more than 1.7 million lines to 360,000. Like, just write good programs that make sense for what you're developing. These people are not. There must be something going on behind the scenes, man. It's pretty sad. We'll see in the future, right? Scrolling down here, some of these are actually pretty big. I think that this Tryndamere thing should be addressed as like a nerf to the Tryndamere character, because there is no way that this isn't going to drop his win rate. There is no way. This is like a huge nerf to the character. Anyway, we'll see. That was quite the patch notes. About 30 minutes. Lots of complaining. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. Peace.